Welcome back to Studio 5. There is an emphasis placed on the importance of those mother-daughter relationships. But here's a tricky question. Is it ever too late? Today, a look at the adult end of that relationship. Studio 5 contributor Connie Sokol is the founder of the program Back to Basics. She says it's possible to build a mother-daughter bond in the grown-up years. And I want to address that timeline question. I think a lot of women feel like if they get to a certain point in their life and that bond, that connection just naturally isn't there with mom, that it might just be something to kiss goodbye. You say not so.
No, I think keep the door open because we're shifting. We forget that we're on our personal growth timelines and we're going to ebb and flow. And so when we can take more of a relaxed approach with that, not negating any of the seriousness of what may be happening, but being able to just keep the door open and keeping those touch points, maybe just sending a Christmas newsletter or occasional phone call or whatever, and just keeping that door open, or big events saying, hey, do you want to come be a part of this? My mom and I, we took a break from each other years ago, and I love and adore her, but we just kind of hit this point and we had some really different belief systems and just some different things that were going on. And we just said, you know, nothing malicious, just let's take a break. We just need a break right now.
A breather.
A breather. And it was great. And then when one of my babies, I was going to have a baby, and I emailed her and said, hey, I would love for you to be a part of this. This is where we're at right now. This is what happens at our house. This is what works for us. Does this work for you? And she was darling. She emailed me back and said, I'm all in. And boom, we could reconnect, and it's been marvelous. So I would not give up hope, and I would keep those doorways open.
I'm impressed to hear that kind of storyline, and I know you shortened the process for us due to our time purposes here, but I'm impressed to hear you both approach that really maturely. If you're someone who's trying to facilitate this relationship and that maturity maybe isn't being met on the other side, is there a good icebreaker? Does it come down to boundaries, or what's the key?
I think setting those healthy boundaries, and I think that was one of the keys, is I felt comfortable being able to say, this works for me. Does that work for you? Because this is what we feel strong about. Like at the time, you know, she had she smoked at the time. I hope that's not too personal, Mom, but she did at the time. And I just said, you know, if you want to do that outside, that's great. And I loved that she was like, yep, that's great. She was respectful. If someone isn't respectful about those things, then you need to determine how important those things are to you.
Okay.
What's a deal breaker, what's not. And being able to share that in a healthy way. You know, this really matters to me. This is like a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10. So if we could work something out here, or we can meet somewhere else at some other place, just finding a way to find that common ground, I think, is huge. Even if they're not really necessarily open, just keep happy and just keep opening the door.
Keep happy, keep opening the door. I like that. It's an interesting relationship, and you touched on this because it does shift and change over the years. You're growing up, they're progressing as well, and you say the most important thing to strengthen that relationship is realizing that you're in a different place right now than you were, so seeing that person in that same place now.
Yes, well, and see them as they are. I think sometimes as you know, I love that my mom has been able to see me as an adult woman, and I think that's so important. I can see as a mom that you're used to training and instructing and correcting, and it's hard to see her as she is an adult now. And so instead of, yes, she's going to need advice, but let her seek it. And so what she really needs is a pair of hands. A lot of times when you're in the thick of things, you just need someone to jump in, throw in a wash, help the kids get their chores, get a nap, and just be able to get back to life and just have some help. And so that's a great thing that moms can do, not to the point of being taken advantage of, but being able to offer that and say, instead of so much talking and helping, connecting, but not so much advising, just more of how can I help? What can I do?
And I loved that. That was an aha for me, trading the advice for the helping hands, which is what's so desperately needed when young moms are kind of in the throw of it.
Oh yeah, and when you're going through tough situations. A while back, I was going through, a year or two ago, I was going through a really difficult emotional time, and Mom did that. I had to process these emotions, which is draining, and she would just throw in the wash, she'd get the kids where they needed to go. I didn't have to say much. That was so healing for me.
Another great way you say moms and daughters can bond later on in life is by celebrating the small joys, the simple accomplishments that happen day to day.
Yes, just being in the mix. Those touch points are so important. So whether it's going to lunch or just a phone call or celebrating a bigger thing, those things are so important. My mom lives out of state, but what's been so great and ironic is that she's been at some of these really pivotal points for me along the way with what I do with Back to Basics and stuff. And so years ago, I did this day conference for women, and Fox News had said, hey, you could do like a 2-minute little promo thing. And we said, okay, great. So I'm in the car with a friend of my mom. We're driving up Salt Lake, and on our way, we get a call. Oh, I've overbooked it. I'm so sorry, from the producer. So sorry. I said, that's totally great. She said, like, I'm 3 or 4 minutes over, even without you being on. No worries. So we turn around in the freeway. We're like, oh, and I'm in my Spanx, and it's a tourniquet. And I'm like, it's all right. And I said, I'm going to stay in this just in case they change their mind. A little while later, we get a call. Hey, I don't know how it worked, but we still have time for you. Do you have time to come up? We're like, you bet. And my mom is primping my hair. My friend's doing my makeup as I'm driving. And we were laughing, and I literally got out of the car, ran into the studio, slide in the thing. And so we have this day conference.
All calm, space in place.
And my my mom's like, you could do this, you could do this. And it was just one of those wonderful moments that you can't explain and was such a keeper to share. So those kind of celebrations, that's the journey.
I love this final reminder too, to be real with each other. Explain how that plays out in this relationship.
I think sometimes we can tend to be like, well, she's just here for the day or just here for 3 days. And so I'll just tolerate her little idiosyncrasies or whatever. I hear this from my friends. And I think to a degree we do that, you know, with each other, and that's healthy. But if you're like, I can't wait till she leaves, then there needs to be those gentle steps, I think, towards that gentle honesty where you're really taking your relationship a little bit deeper. My mom is so darling. Last year she called. She wants to go back to the old country. She's Scottish. Okay.
Yes.
And I said, I can't do it this year, but maybe next year. So this is next year. And so I was like, I don't know. She's like, we can do it. So we're doing it. We are going on this adventure. And I am so excited. But what's funny is you get, oh, it's just glorious. How fun. How wonderful. Then the rose-colored glasses come off. We spent some time last weekend together and we're having to make plans. We're shopping for packing stuff. We're divvying up money. We're saying, well, what's your top 3 places? What's my top 3 places? And we have to go back to that same thing of what works for you, what works for me, and finding those common ground. And it has been so joyful because we're being real. And add in that sense of humor because we get 2 serious women and then everything is about this one issue, but I want those napkin colors. Instead, we can just back off and say, what do you think? Let's do it. Let's do it the way you're thinking. Let's roll with it. That sense of humor and that adjusting is beautiful. And so we are both so excited. So join us. I'm doing this wonderful adventure.
This is fantastic.
Mom and Me Spring Adventure. Join us in April. And I'm going to tell you all about where we're going and how we are connecting.
Yes.
How we're connecting together. We can't wait. I can't wait, Mom.
You'll be kind of travel logging on your Facebook page.
We'll be travel logging, and we'll be from the aspect of how do we deepen these relationships, and we do it in real ways, in real time. Can't wait.
I will be following along for sure, and this is great advice. Connie, thank you so much. Up next.